So I just wanted to, I invited the Gunners. I invited, the Game Changer group that Nick started, just to kind of get a few people behind the scenes with me for a little bit before we dig in. So it looks like Nick is audio is not connected. Eric, are you able to have video by chance?
Eric's sitting in front of me, but his video is not working.
Oh, okay. Where are you?
Study room.
Got it. The apartments. Cool. Cool. So I'll make a couple of you co-hosts just in case some more people are joining. All right. Cool. So I'm glad that we're able to get a couple of minutes before we start TLA. The purpose of me reaching out and planning this is so that way we can just create the space to talk a little bit about what you want this push to be about. I think that's important. I think right now, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of distracting. I feel like I'm with Isabella's audio and video not on. Looks like Nick's in the middle of a conversation. Eric's video is not on. Jess is not pushing. So Victoria, hi. Yeah, Nick is talking to someone else, I guess. Cool. Or maybe he's making a phone call. So Victoria, I'll have this conversation with you, and then maybe Eric, if since he's sitting in front of Jess, maybe Jess, you could maneuver the camera so I could see you both. Possible, if that's possible. Obviously, just running this and facilitating this is it's optional, but if we're gonna run it, it makes sense to be productive. I appreciate it, Jess. Awesome, there he is. Great. So let's talk. The purpose of this is I want this. I'm going to put Nick in the waiting room. I can't talk to someone who's not paying attention.
No, I'm good, Mike. My friend's leaving right now.
Oh, okay, cool. So, again, I threw this out as an invitation, as an option, just to offer some thoughts on the push is starting. What do we want this to be about? What are you out to accomplish during this 2.5 weeks? Yes, sales. I love it. You guys know you sell Cutco, you sell 10 grand, you sell 5 grand, you sell 15 grand, you sell 120 grand. I really don't care how much you sell. There's got to be a higher purpose. There's got to be something that's a little bit more meaningful than just the CPO. And I wanted to see if we can draw that out in less than 15 minutes before we go into TLA. So who'd like to go? Like, what have you figured that out for you of like something that you're connected to outside of just the possession, a prize, the money, the sales, the CPO? Because if you don't have a higher connection of a purpose, overwhelm, stress, worry, defeat, angst, all those lower frequency energies are going to show up. And when they do, we're gonna detach from our goals. We're gonna be like, yeah, I really don't want them anyway. It's just a mark it up. Let's mark it up to another shitty push, right? And like, we don't want that. We want it to be meaningful. Let's talk. What does that look like, Nick? It seems like you're eagerly raised your blue hand. So, welcome to the conversation. Talk to us.
Yeah, I know. I've got two personal. My first big one is because I'm trying to gun for the PSM position in the summer. And I know it's kind of all dependent on what I'm doing in the fall. And I think a really good SLC push would look good, towards that kind of resume to get that position. So I'm working hard towards that right now. And then second thing for me is like a little bit of money motivated, just because I just moved into this new apartment and I'm kind of switching on to like paying for all my bills on my own, like not relying on my parents anymore. So, and I don't want to just do that just to go like live, like paycheck to paycheck. Like I want to be,
Sure.
Paying that off like early in advance and like having the money to start investing and saving. So I know.
Let's feel into that just a smidge more, because paying bills is scarcity. It's like, I want to survive. Okay. After survival, then what? So now you have, let's say your expenses are 1,500 a month, 2,000 a month, maybe. Okay. Somewhere in that neighborhood. Okay. Then what? So outside of the scarcity of I got to pay the bills, what then? So you said is investing the next move after that, or is there something in between survival and investing that is like a next or something in between there, or is that the next step once you get the funds,
Yeah,
once you're out of scarcity?
for me, personally, like I'm not really trying to save up to really like buy anything right now. So I mean, investing really is kind of like my number one priority right now. Like I want to like max out a Roth IRA, save up like 10 to 20K for whenever, you know, the market's better. I want to try to buy my first property sometime soon. So something like that. So those are kind of like my main goals right now, just to kind of like start getting like that passive income and things like that, just because I don't have any of that like started right now. So
Sure, because you're 20, right? 21,
mm,
right? So most 21, 20-year-olds don't have passive income started for them. But I do believe that you don't need you want to get beyond scarcity, right? You want to get beyond scarcity is what I'm hearing from you. Like I want to have my bills paid and I want to create financial freedom. And this push is my catalyst. But here's the thing, Nick, if you're investing in real estate or in the market and you have your property and then someone trashes your property and you have to evict the tenant and you have this idea that that's going to create passive income and freedom, financial freedom, but really what it created was another obstacle. And now you have to overcome that obstacle because that vehicle is now creating financial freedom. But in order to get that financial freedom, you also need to evolve and grow into the person who has the capacity to also handle that level of, let's call it overwhelm, stress, worry, defeat, burned out, angst. The more we continue to challenge ourselves and grow, the larger those obstacles are going to get in the way. So the reason why I'm bringing up this conversation and why I'm pushing back just a smidge is because these are surface level type of goals in the sense of like, I want money, I want investment, I want to earn a title or a position. I want to dig a little bit deeper. I want to dig a little bit deeper beyond that. I'm not saying you have to answer that for me. I don't need you to answer that for me. I'm not coaching you right now during this push, but if you can answer that for you and have something a little bit more compelling, so that way you know if and when you get stuck, there's something that's pulling you beyond that. Victoria, what's showing up for you? And then I look like Eric, you wanted to share as well.
So I really just wanted a way to keep myself consistent and not like fall off again. Like I have a hard time staying consistent like week to week. So if I commit to something, like I just sent my commitment in the TLA and like it's announced and I have accountability in some way. Like I
Mm,
just want to with myself create like a better routine and just not give in to like those easy options and just
mm,
really continuously like it's not like, oh, a push happened and then it's done. Like it's
yeah.
so hard to do it again, but I want to do it just to like know that I can do it and then trust myself more in the future and in all things that I can like handle whatever comes my way because I'll be sure of myself.
I like that response, especially the word trust that you just said, to be able to trust myself a little bit more. I really love that response because what you're saying is, I really want to get into routine. I want to trust myself. I want to keep agreements that I'm making to myself. Those are some really good responses right there because it's not a matter of chasing something tangible. It's more so using this push to leverage the intangible. And what's interesting is what Nick said is really great. And if that's compelling for Nick, that's good. That's what we need. You need to be compelled. And I'm not saying you need to have my goals or you need to have Nick's goals or you need to have Victoria's goals, but you do want to have something that's going to pull you when you don't feel like it. I promise you, there's going to be moments when you do not feel like pushing and you want to be pulled, not pushed. Because if you're pushed during the push, that's when you resist. And if you resist, you'll persist and you'll keep going against the tide. And you know, if you ever listen to a lifeguard, you swim against the tide, what happens? You get burned out, you get fatigued, and you drowned. So that's why you do not want to push. If you persist, it's resist, right? You want to be pulled, compelled. And then you need to be reminded of why you're doing what you're doing. And you guys are young. This is stuff that I teach. I literally, one of my new clients, I was just talking to him about this. Just talking about this. This is not a Cutco thing. Push is not a Cutco thing. One of my other clients I was talking about, Coach Pay, I literally was just talking to him. He's 28 years old, real sharp guy. Same thing. He's pushing to start his business. It's a push. I'm telling him the same shit I'm telling you. Wake your ass up early. 80% of his time, I'm telling you, 80% of his time is prospecting. The other 20% is everything else. So if you're pushing, 80% of your push is really going to be prospecting, creating appointments, demo creation. The other 20% might be skill development. And your rituals and behaviors, I encourage you to keep those forefront of your mind if that. So I love that, Victoria. I love that, Nick. I appreciate you guys sharing. I'm just pushing back just a smidge right now because I'm not coaching you, but you need to be equipped to self-manage or have a circle of influence around you to manage, to just have an environment that can manage you. If you're not getting coached by somebody directly and having high-level coaching, you must have a peer influence around you so you do not get sidetracked or distracted. You will get sidetracked and distracted. You need somebody there to keep you on course so they don't either catch you swimming against the current and you drown, right? Or making sure that you just kind of stay consistent and stay like Victoria said. Eric, let's come to you. I know you were going to say something before. Was it already said, or do you want to still share? I saw you kind of raise your hand and then put it down.
It was already said.
Cool. Well, do you want to echo it just so?
Well, you were saying like not so surface level, and I was thinking very surface level. So I don't want to like say it because you were like, well, let's go deeper. So I was like, oh, that's contradictory. So
I love that. And I appreciate the honesty. And I think that's fantastic. That's exactly why I'm bringing this up. So I got 60 seconds to tie a bow on what I wanted to say. And then I know Andrew's going to take over and kick off TLA. So here's the thing, Victoria, this is really Victoria, Nick, and Eric who hopped on early. And if anybody else is interested or wants to tag on, I highly recommend, I can't emphasize enough, to have some sort of environment that demonstrates that you are doing something different than what you were doing before the push. Like there's got to be some level of separation from normalcy and push. There's got to be separation. So whatever that separation is between normalcy and push, you must create that. It's not always push. It's not always push, but when it is, you must create the space that demonstrates push. That's why we do what is called like alliance in vector world. But in non-vector world, what do they call it? Two-a-days. They might call it immersion, right? There's different words that could be described, but it's different when it's a push. So I would invite specifically Nick, Eric, and Victoria, and anybody else that wants to make this push meaningful, not about selling a lot of knives, just making meaningful. I recommend you creating a schedule and a routine that allows outside of Mike or outside of Andrew, ideally it's led by one of the three of you or all three of you because you showed up early with me or anybody else that's listening, where at a designated time, you meet up in the virtual space and you talk, you converse, you rehearse, you review, you role play. I would say those are the 3 R's: rehearse, review, role play, and then prospect. Rehearse, review, role play, prospect, rehearse, review, role play, prospect, and you do that. I don't know the time frame. Maybe it's 2 times a week, maybe 3, maybe it's every day. How much time? Could be 10 minutes, it could be 15, it could be 30, it could be an hour. I'm indifferent. But I know Andrew Evans is going to hop on here in probably in a couple seconds, and we're going to kick off TLA. I highly recommend 1, 2, 3 of you, however many of you, to take some sort of lead here and create the environment, because myself, I have my environment. I have my push going on right now. He's in the other room. I FaceTimed with Victoria earlier today. I have my own push right now. I'm launching my first ever immersion event. And, I'm prospecting clients and filling the space at a $2,500 ticket price. So I have my own push. I have my own stuff that I'm doing right now. Y'all have pushes too. If you're a manager, district manager, your push is recruiting, or a dom, your push is recruiting. If you're a sales rep, your push is prospecting, demo creation. If whether you're looking for a great Mac customer or you're looking for a great targeted 5-star recruit, we're prospecting right now. That's what these next couple of weeks are about. So I know we're on the right link. I'm not running TLA today. I know Andrew's supposed to. Is anybody did he message anyone or anything, or is he just maybe 2 minutes late? Let me check my WhatsApp. Maybe I'm missing something here. No. All right. So I can fill time. I don't see him on. He's not on, right? Someone would like to, maybe Jess or Lindsay or Andrew's on different Zoom. No one there though. No one there. Did he tell you that, or okay, never mind. Cool.
I just thought it was a little funny. It'd be kind of
Oh, okay,
funny.
yeah. Hey, maybe Mason, you could reach out and just check in. But for whatever it's worth, from Victoria, Nick, or Eric, or any of you that hopped on a little bit after I started, anything show up for you that you want to take some sort of action on, that you say, all right, this is what my schedule lines, this is what I'm going to invite other people to do, or to sorry, Linz, just timing wasn't, I wasn't ready for it.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind like running some sort of like champions club or like personal growth, or like you said, like reviewing and rehearsing
Review,
stuff like
rehearse,
that.
role play. Yep.
Yeah, those three. I wouldn't.
Prospect.
I'm sure Vicky B wouldn't mind either. I know she's pretty much about that. And also, I know personally, I really like the Wim Hof in the morning. So if anyone wanted to like hop on extra early and do something like that with me, I would be down to do that.
Cool. I love that. Why we don't like Vicky B anymore? Is that getting taken away?
So she told us that she never said anything to anyone and has held it in, but that is literally the one name that she hates being called her whole life is Vicky. And she felt like she couldn't change it after this long. So we're all making the effort to just say Victoria from now on.
There were like 8 Victorias. There's nothing I could have said at the time.
No, it's not Vicky. It's Vicky B. Those are two different things. No? You don't want to own that? Oh my goodness.
He is strictly Victoria or Victoria B.
Oh boy. That's sad. She told me it's okay. I didn't know. That's sad.
It's like right in training. It started right in training. I couldn't say anything.
She was being nice.
First step.
She lied. All right. Now we know where we stand. I'm glad we have that rapport where we can't be honest with one another. It's cool. Sucks that we don't have that relationship, Victoria. But it's okay. It's okay. Any update with Andrew? Because I'll start teaching some shit if he's not coming on, or if there's a confusion somewhere.
Do you want me to check his other link?
Not sure where he's at. I hope he's okay. Jeez, it's all right. Well, until he hops on, I guess is what ADVMs do. So just to tie a bow on that last conversation, Nick, you said you're down to do a champions club. Victoria's down to participate. I know Victoria's gonna be driving to the office. Do we want to set some parameters here, times that make sense? That I know a lot of people have classes. It doesn't have to be mornings. It can be mornings. It doesn't have to be evenings, but it can be evenings. In the past, when I was an assistant manager pushing, I personally ran a lot of these at nighttime. I would do like a Tuesday at 9 p.m., a Thursday at 9 p.m., and a Sunday at 9 p.m. I did 3 times a week because that's all my schedule allowed. And that's what I did because I had 8 a.m. classes. So that's kind of what I did when I've led this as an assistant manager before. As a district manager, I've led this where we did 8 a.m. in the morning. I've done 8:30 in the morning. I've done 9 in the morning. You could even do lunch and learns where it's like at noon in the middle part of the day where it's lunchtime. I don't have a preference because I'm not doing it, but I do I do believe a little bit of variety or some sort of direction could be great. So Nick throws out 9 to 9:30 works for me, and any other mornings. Cool. So Nick, do you want to put it into motion? The push starts tomorrow. So do you want to say it's like weekdays at 9 a.m.? Is it 7 days a week? Is it 3 days a week? What do you?
I like 3 days a week. I'm thinking like Monday, Wednesday, Friday.
Okay. Now the push starts tomorrow. So does that mean you don't want to do anything the first day and you want to put it on
Well,
Friday?
I'm going to be going the first 4 days of the push, so I won't be doing it. But Monday, Wednesday, Friday next week, I can start it.
So it would be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So we got 6 days covered. So 6 mornings with Nick Franklin. Victoria?
I can do like tomorrow morning or Friday morning if we want to do like a phone gym together or like a skills check just to start it off.
Do you want to keep that same 9 a.m. time frame?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. So 9 to 9:30, Thursday, Friday this week, and then Monday, Wednesday, Friday the next 2 weeks. Is there anyone else that would like to lead at any of the other days?
Yeah, I can do it.
Cool. What would you like to lead?
I can do, what did Victoria, what you said?
So she's going to do
tomorrow?
this Thursday and Friday, like tomorrow and Friday, and then Nick
Okay.
Franklin will do Monday, Wednesday, Friday the next 2 weeks.
I mean, I can do Tuesday, Thursday.
Perfect. 9 to 9:30 time frame work.
Yeah.
Perfect. So now we have the entire push covered, weekdays. So we got weekdays 9 to 9:30. So that means every single person, if you wanted to, whether you're selling a lot of Cutco or not selling a lot of Cutco right now, I would say if the time frame works, let's take out your planners right now. Like everyone can take out your planner and see if any of those times work. 9 to 9:30, tomorrow, Friday, Monday through Friday, the next 2 weeks, and see if any of them hop on. I would suggest the agenda includes rehearse, review, role play, and then prospecting. And under the umbrella of rehearse and review, I would watch any of my videos that are under 10 minutes. The Mike under 10-minute videos, I would play one of those, maybe role play, depending on how many people, review it a little bit, and then make some phone calls or send some emails, send some text messages, send some Facebook messages. That would be my suggestion. If you start the day and just do that, whether you're selling Cutco a lot or not, I think it could be beneficial for you just to refine some of those skills. So cool. Why don't we we could do signups if you want. Like, who does anybody know for sure? You're like, Mike, I can 100% sign up. I'd like to join this many mornings, or these mornings work for me. Does anybody have like for sure, like these are times and these are things that work?
Yeah, I do.
Cool. Why don't if you want to list them, why don't we post those in the WhatsApp chat, Parker, if you don't mind leading on that.
Okay. Just times I have available.
Yeah, which times you'll be on the Zoom.
Okay.
Yeah, and Nick and Victoria, you could do the same since y'all volunteered on that. And then I know Eric is going to push. I know Miracle. Obviously, you might have some conflicts with school, but figure out which ones might work for you. If you could post those into that chat, and anybody else. So this is a little impromptu, everybody. I'm not prepped to run TLA today. However, I think I might be able to offer a little bit of value, possibly. If since we're here. So let's start with this. While you guys are, those of you guys that are using the SLC push, ready to rock and roll, everyone else, like I know, Lindsay Holstrom, Anthony Marino, we got Marino on here. We got Mason Linker on here. A couple people that, I don't know if they're going to be picking up this, the sales during this time frame. But here's what I would like to ask. From TLA this past Saturday, were there anything that showed up for you, any implementation from the CVI message that I gave, from Andrew's message that he gave, or several messages that he gave? Let's have a debrief conversation around that. I'm going to put you all in some breakout rooms, pull up your notes. Okay. Before I do so, Mason, Marino, and Lindsay, specifically the three of you, anything specific that showed up for you from this, from this past Saturday, from any of the messages you were a part of? Mason, I'm not sure if you were in attendance to this one, but I know obviously you've learned from several preps in the past. But from Marino, Lindsay, maybe Jess, if you want to share maybe a thought or two while I'm creating some of these breakout rooms, what were some things that showed up for you that maybe is that you can bring to the surface before I create some breakout rooms to discuss, and debrief this past Saturday's prep?
I just personally felt for the CVI, I believe it was, I feel like we never went that into depth about that one. And the more and more you talked about it, it really, came to me how I resembled what a merchant was. And we got more deep, and then you actually recognized, like, everybody on the Zoom, and you saw how much these roles actually fit them, right? And we never gone that deep into it, especially with those big slides that you pulled up. I thought that was really great.
Nice. Cool. Well, we will definitely be continuing to talk about that. So excellent. Anyone else? Yeah, go ahead.
Okay. I was gonna say, to hop off of that, like the CVI talk, super fun. Like everyone enjoyed it, definitely like learning about themselves. But I think the real like lesson from that is obviously knowing yourself, but also knowing how to apply that in relationships or friendships or in a professional situation. Jess, especially since she's really good with people, like she doesn't like categorize it. She's like, merchant. I know exactly how to connect with that person and like how to like also work through that type of person in a certain conflict. So like being aware of that and knowing how to really implement that is really the skill that you look to seek eventually. So just like my second time around listening to that, I was thinking more about like how to apply it in certain situations and to relationships rather than just learning about the actual CVI.
Yeah. Well, since that, if assuming Andrew doesn't hop on, I hope he's okay. Now it's to the point, like at first it was like, oh shit, he forgot. But now 13 minutes, I think something's wrong. So I'll take the ball and run with it. And what I'll do is we'll do our breakouts, and then I'll come back and I'll start talking about CVI coaching. Would you guys enjoy that a little bit? Some of those slides that I didn't get a chance to hit on. So, and also it will work for your customers too. I'll tie into that now. So let me hear from anybody else want to share, Nick Hernandez or Mason or anyone else that want to publicly share before we go to these breakout rooms. The purpose of the breakout room, pull up your notes from Saturday's prep and just debrief. We'll give you a few minutes for that. And then, I'll kick things off with a lesson for today.
I feel honored to share, Mike, right? So I had like a shit ton of notes, but probably like one of my favorite things is really just a reminder that like really nothing in life is free, right? There's always like a cost to everything, right? Whether that's time, whatever it is, there's always a price to everything. So just a reminder that nothing in life is free. So just, that's just that. Take it as you will.
Yeah, it's great. Well, I appreciate everyone having their videos on, being ready to go into these breakout rooms, having a conversation with your colleagues, and debriefing your leadership prep. So thanks everyone for being here. I'm going to create these breakout rooms. I'll give Andrew a shout. And if not, when we come back from the breakout room, like I said, I'll lead a conversation around implementation of CVI into coaching. So here we go. Enjoy your breakout rooms. Again, you're going to debrief the talks that were taking place at the prep. We'll do small groups of 3 or 4, just to, have a good conversation. So here we go. Cool. Welcome back, everyone. So let's go ahead. Let's do this thing. We'll talk about CVI coaching. Before we dig into CVI coaching, what anyone want to share something that showed up or a reminder that you're like, you know what? After we talked about it in our group, I forgot how powerful that was. Like that was actually really good. That was a great reminder. That was really helpful. Yeah, go ahead.
It's something actually that Charlie said in our little group. And one of the things he pointed out that I didn't have in my notes was that confidence is found through action. So in order to become confident or feel good about doing something, sometimes you just need to like throw yourself into it. And he used the example of like making one phone call, like the first one's the hardest, and then it like sets you into motion. So I thought that was a really great reminder, especially since the push starts tomorrow and people might not remember how to do stuff around school, but it's kind of just like going into it and starting and putting in the routines.
Yeah, it's I'll tell you it's just like you heard Andrew Evans say this many times. Like, anybody could go to the gym once, anybody could do it twice or 3 times, but the reason why 75 hard is actually hard is because it's consistency for 75 days. That's what makes it tough. Even though sometimes it's really hard to do the first step, but really step number 5 or 6 is sometimes that much more challenging. So, and what happens, you build that momentum and that momentum gives you confidence. So I feel you on that. Go ahead. Anybody else want to share? You could raise your virtual hand or you could just wave me down like Alexis Gauss is. Either way.
Yeah, so from our group, it was me, Miles, and Rhett, and both of them actually hit on something that I had forgotten about, which was just knowing essentially who you're talking to in order to be able to influence them. So just like merchants, builders, innovators, and bankers are all different, you can't coach them or expect the same outcome from them since they're all so different. So just like knowing who's in front of you and being able to take that and work with them in the way that they work to have efficient and effective conversation and outcomes.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. Anytime you are coaching, you could swap the word coaching out for just being a person of influence. Like I coach my dad sometimes. It sounds weird, but like I am a person of influence oftentimes in conversations with my dad. Interesting enough, more times than not, believe it or not, my dad actually learns from his youngest baby boy. So go ahead, Victoria Belaski, go ahead.
So this was a quote that I had written down, and it was, "Give up who you are for who you can become." And that really just solidifies, like, just because you're doing something or just because you are who you are right now doesn't mean that you can't change and you can't grow. And I've noticed, like pointing out in a few meetings, just using your wording, like when I used to do this, like that almost helps you overcome it. So like you can always grow and go into a new routine. And just because you had some like actions or habits or routines in the past that didn't work for you, that doesn't define you, and you can always outgrow and like redefine who you are. Okay, I'll just keep talking because he's on the phone. Yeah, and then another thing was abundant leadership, the idea of 1 + 1 = 3. Once you find someone, like once you become your own complete full person, or you feel like you're pretty sure of yourself, if you partner up with someone, thanks. Like you find another person and you create even more. Like those 2 people create like 3 people almost. So like really working on yourself, completing yourself, and then finding another person that you can partner up with in like a professional way, like to grow your business, things like that.
Right now, I know that Mike's on the phone, but I'll echo here, and then I'll let anyone else raise their hand or unmute. If you could like wave me down.
Okay, so
cool.
I have an update from Mr. Andrew Evans. He's alive. He's okay. He's going to see if he can hop on. It's his place to share, but he's okay. So that's good. So he's going to see if he can hop on. That was him calling me. So we're good. Sorry about that, Victoria. I know you were in flow. I'm sure it was really good too. And I'm sorry about whoever I just interrupted to talk, whoever was talking. Um, Anyone else want to feel heard before I take over and go over some PCVI coaching? All right, let's do this thing. So I'll give you the rundown here. We got basic coaching and we're going to go CVI coaching. So being a person of influence is what we're talking about here, and using basic coaching and understanding CVI and implementation. So let's go to basic coaching. The 3 keys to helping somebody, okay, in our business specifically, when you're coaching them, is make sure they feel good, make sure they have people to call, make sure they have a plan. Super simple. So if you're in our business, those are the 3 things. Now you could take the people to call and you could just make sure they have like some sort of prospecting or something along those lines. But in our Cutco business, those are really the 3 things. Now, taking that a step further, how do you help someone feel good? Is giving them some level of appreciation, some level of encouragement, and some level of skill development. If you help them with those 3 things, those 3 things are going to help them feel good. That's going to help them develop some level of confidence. Sometimes all somebody needs to hear is, I believe in you. I believe in you, ... because. I highly recommend you to always give a reason anytime, because otherwise it's just words. And those words are important, but the words are more meaningful when you could back it up. I believe in you because. Because. Like Miracle. I believe in you, Miracle, because you have demonstrated what it truly means to be a young entrepreneurial mom who's rocking your exams in school, rocked 75 hard and taking control of your physical body, and also just in Zoom land along with in personal land, seeing how you interact with Lyric is inspirational. And I believe that you could literally do anything you set your mind to because of what you've demonstrated in the past. That would be genuine, authentic, helping someone feel good, not just words, but words with meaning. So that would be number 1, the first level of coaching. The second level of coaching, making sure they have people to call. People to call. Recommendations, chicken lists, Facebook, emailing professors. They need to have some level of direction. Think about the people to call as a map. They have like some sort of map to follow. They have a path, and you might say that, well, wouldn't that be the plan? Kind of. Like, I would say the people to call would be like, I don't know, maybe the people to call is the vehicle. That would be the vehicle. So the people to call would be the car. The plan would be the GPS map, right? So you got to make sure you have a vehicle, because what's the point of them feeling good and having a plan, but they don't have a vehicle to get there, right? Or follow the plan. So you got to have them people to call. Lastly is have a plan. I always love to start with the days off. So, hey, what days are you taking off? What days are you taking off? Hey, tell me, what days are you taking off? What are you going to do with that time? What are you doing with the time that you're taking off? How are you going to rejuvenate with those off days, right? So that would be like, first start there. Then it's like, cool, what are your blitz days? When are you going all in? Why do you want to go all in? What do you want to get accomplished when you go all in? What are your part-time days? And when are you doing your power hour planning session in order to position you to put things into motion? This would be basic coaching, basic surface level coaching. And I could go deep on this stuff. I mean, we could go deep on this stuff, but let me come for some air before I go into CVI coaching. Questions, comments, thoughts, feedback, observations on basic level coaching of feel good people to call and have a plan. You can raise your hand or just talk if you want. Feel good about that? All right. So let's go into the goods. All right, CVI coaching. Here we go. We're probably going to need some paparazzi on this, because the slides I'll show you, they have a lot of words on these. You see, so these are the slides. So CVI coaching. Just to recap: builder, merchant, banker, innovator. There's different styles. We have all of them. You see, We have all of them. We just have a primary and we have a secondary. If your primary and secondary are pretty close, then it's easy for you to switch back and forth. If your primary and secondary are pretty close like this, great. It's easy to switch back and forth. Your third might be really tough if it's really small. You might be able to, you might not be able to. But we're going to show you that if they have a primary and it is clearly evident how you can coach and how you could work with some different people and honor them. Okay. So let's start at the bottom. We'll go builder first. Builder. How to start a call with honors the core values of different types. So let's see what you guys got before I teach. I know I kind of had it on the screen. What would be a way to honor a builder from what you learned so far? If you were going to have a conversation with a builder and you were going to get on a call with them, what would be the best way to honor them first? You could just go ahead and unmute whoever starts talking. Go ahead. What would be the best way to honor them?
I want to respect your time. I'm going to make this short and simple.
Yeah. In order to honor your time, I want to make this short and simple and to the point. That's a way to honor their time. You guys got that? So that's how you would honor a builder to start it off. What about a merchant? How would you be able to honor a merchant? What would be the best way to start a conversation with a merchant in order to honor them first? Go ahead. You could just unmute yourself. What would be the best way to honor a merchant to start off the combo?
How are you? How's your day? What's going on?
Yeah. Yeah. Before we talk about business, before we talk about anything else, tell me, how are you? What's been happening? What's been going on? How do you honor an innovator? How can you honor an innovator? How could you start a call to honor them a little bit differently if you're working with an innovator before I pull it up? What do you think?
I want your input on this, or I thank you for what you brought to the table in our discussion previously.
That's correct. That is absolutely correct. So if you're talking to an innovator, you want to honor them like, hey, before we dig in, I just want to let you know, you teaching that the other day was really spot on. Or I learned a lot when you talked about blank that last time. Or, when you were joining in and chiming in on our last conversation on that last prep was really meaningful. And I appreciate you for that. Keep doing that. What about a banker? How would you be able to honor a banker if you're starting a conversation with them? Are you not responding because you don't know the answer, or are you not responding because you're disengaged? I'm curious. Let me look at your facial expressions as I indirectly and directly call you out. Are you not responding because you don't know the answer, or you're not responding because you're disengaged?
I don't know.
Okay. How do you honor a banker?
I feel like this one could also be like, I want to be respectful of your time.
This is good. This is good. Jess, what do you think?
I would say do like the outline of what the call is going to be. So like structure is usually best in that situation.
Yeah, that is absolutely correct. Hey, I just want to let you know, I have a couple of quick bullet points I wanted to go over with you real quick. Here's how you honor a banker, because they're usually on top of their stuff. So how do you honor them? I'm sure you already have all of this. I just want to review it with you. That's how you honor a banker. Hey, I'm sure you're already on top of all this. I just want to review this with you. Does everyone see that? So coming back full circle to this document right here, these are a couple of ways. So a builder, short, to the point. They don't want to sugarcoat. They don't care about the chit chat. So it's like, hey, I just want to get to the point real quick and just tell you a couple of things real fast. If you do want to honor them also, you could just give them a compliment on something that they've done that demonstrates something in power, something that's powerful, something that about winning, being the best at something. Merchant, that one's easy when you're having a conversation. They just want to talk. The challenge with merchants, though, is you got to make sure you have enough time in your schedule for those conversations. You got to have enough time in your schedule. And if you don't have the time, you got to make the time if you want to be in rapport with a merchant, or you can politely have boundaries that you create for them. The innovator, appreciate the wisdom, the sharing. Like we said, I feel like your opinions are important. Would you mind, anytime you can ask them something, that's what they want. They want you to ask them questions. And then the banker, like we talked about, creating the structure. I bet you already know how close you are to your next promotion. You know, I know your goal is blank. It's really important. You know, I'm sure you already have a map created. Do you mind reviewing that with me? Right? Honoring them in those cases. So that's how you create the boundary of a conversation, a pre-frame, or honoring the start of a conversation using someone's CVI. Do you guys like that? Is that cool? Like you kind of understanding it a little bit. I'm not going to go through all of these. Let's go through ending a conversation. So if we wanted to end a conversation, ending a conversation with a builder, let's before I go to the slide, how would you end a conversation with a builder? You're finished. You've said what you need to say. How do you end the conversation with a builder based upon what the information that you've learned already about a builder? How would you put a builder into action? What do you think? How would you put a builder into action leaving a conversation? What is something a builder would want to hear to honor them leaving a conversation?
Giving them some level of confidence to go out and make some progress.
Yeah. Yeah. Some level of confidence. So that might sound like, hey, I know you're going to crush your goal. Like you like the competition. And hey, right here, who would be a builder? Who do I have as my builders? Miracle was a builder. So it might sound something like this. So, hey, Miracle, Victoria B, she doesn't stand a chance. Like I almost feel bad for her during this push. I know you're probably going to crush it. So she doesn't even stand a chance. She might not even know you're competing with her, but I know between you and me, I know you're really itching to beat her during this week. So, hey, have fun with it. Crush your goals. By you hitting your goals, I'm sure you're going to win this push. Like something like that, if they're builder dominant, very competitive, might be something that could, put them into action. What about a merchant? What about a merchant? How do you end a conversation with a merchant?
You go slow and kindly, like you like pet them, but just slowly every time.
Yeah, that's good. Very slow, timely, good. How else would you end a conversation with a merchant? How do you think you want to end the conversation to put him into action?
Love.
I would say like asking for like updates or like a follow-up time.
Yeah, some sort of accountability. A merchant 100%, I think, is a great idea to have some level of accountability at the end of a conversation with them, because this is a merchant. Ready? All right, I'm going to start cleaning this. Oh, what's this over here? Oh, shoot, I forgot about this. I found this. I've lost this. I've been looking for this a long time. Oh, my phone's ringing. Oh, shoot, I dropped something. Hold on. That would be, that is a kind of an idea of what it might look like for a merchant. So between the time you end the conversation and 5 minutes, there's several more things that took place. So the amount of things that just happened, by the time they actually get to the activity that they agreed to, they might have forgotten a little bit or might have gotten distracted a little bit. So what would you want to have for them to this point is some level of follow-up, some level of accountability is very important for them. You want to make sure, how do you have them hold themselves accountable? How would you have a merchant hold themselves accountable? Let's tie a bow on this one. How do you have a merchant hold themselves accountable? What are they going to be tied to? Any guesses? What would a merchant need to be tied to?
Their why.
Their why, right? They need to be tied to a vision. They could see the vision much more clearly than anyone else. Hey, by you doing blank, know what they also care about is the team. By you hitting your goal, you're going to help the team hit our goal. That's what a merchant wants to hear. Innovator. How do you end a conversation with an innovator?
Thank them for providing you insight.
You could thank them for any insights that they shared. That's a great way. Absolutely. How else? Hey, Lindsay, I just want to let you know, leaving this conversation, I know you're going to go crush it. When you do, would you mind taking everything you learn and then teaching it to other people during the course of the next week? Would that be okay? So as I'm coaching you and teaching you, and as you're learning and applying what you're learning over the next week, can you teach that to other people as you're figuring some things out? That would be a great way to leave a conversation with an innovator. What about a banker? What about a banker?
Review the points that you talked about.
That's good. Yeah, review the points. Even ask them to review it with you. It's like, hey, I'm sure you already got it. Can you just spit those back to me? I'm sure you got it. Anytime you can say that, I'm sure you got it. I'm sure you got it. Could you just say them back to me? That would be a great way. Absolutely. Absolutely. Anytime you could acknowledge a banker for their knowledge, for their intellect, that and being organized, that's what bankers really appreciate. That's what they really appreciate. Cool. So if you want to take a screenshot of that, that's about all I wanted to cover with you guys today under the umbrella of CVI coaching. It was about, 15, 20 minutes on this umbrella, starting a conversation, ending a conversation. I don't want to overwhelm you too much. You guys like this? I'm going to put you in a quick breakout room, and then we're going to do some housekeeping to wrap up. I want you to share with a partner, smaller group, what are you taking from this? What are you drawing out from this content of CVI in a smaller group? Because I know it's intimidating in a larger group to be able to share. So let's go ahead. I'll just put you back in the same groups you were in. Almost the same groups you were in. Okay. Hey.
All right, ladies and gents, welcome back. Hey, real quickly, by the way, there's a couple of y'all that texted me. Thank you. Yes, I am. I am alive, and everything is all and well. So I'll just leave it at that. But thank you, Mike, for supporting during that, and I apologize for not being here to kick us off. So hopefully you guys got some goods here with Mike on CVI. Take a quick second, post into the chat. What was your biggest takeaway from today in going over some of this? Take a quick second. So with your partner, what you just debriefed, post what was your biggest takeaway and what were you learning? And I'm curious to see what's coming up for you guys. One thing that I'll say too with CVI, as we go into this a little bit more, keep in mind, this is going to be a tool. And the more that you start to understand these different frameworks, the more that you can use them in terms of coaching different types of people. But you're not going to have a CVI report for every single person that you're having an influence conversation with. Sometimes you will. You might be able to have, maybe some people, and some offices do this. We have, reps take CVI tests before they start training. That might not always be the luxury that you have. You might be coaching or having a conversation with them, and you don't necessarily have their CVI. So a lot of this is understanding how to work with different types of people and knowing that everyone has all four of these. And as you start to have more conversations and understand different types of people, the things that people say, the way that people act in different situations, how people respond to things, you'll start to have enough awareness to pick up on, this person seems like a merchant. They probably need this. This person seems, like a builder. They probably need this right now. And you can start to understand the different energies that people are coming to the surface with. So the ins and outs of talking to each, speaking to different types of people, learning how different people need different types of combos, using this as a guide and outline to help is helpful. Being evenly spread will make it more difficult to coach. How you can use this to feel like your customers. Parker, I'm glad that you said that too, because it's not just coaching reps, right? This is going into the topic of influence. This happens with customers. This happens with representatives. This happens with professors when you're talking to them. This happens when you are talking to someone and trying to date them. Every conversation that might be some sort of influence type of conversation, this is going to take a role and take place. So thanks again, Mike, for leading. Real quickly, I want to wrap up with a couple quick things for housekeeping. Just a few quick reminders. So several of you have started to reach out after our last prep and talk about or ask questions. Okay, I'm starting to think about submitting my letter of intent. And what does that look like? How do I do that? Where does that process start? So super fast. Once you get to the point where you have some clarity and you say, hey, you know what? I'm going to make this decision, right? I'm going to act from a place of strength. I'm making a decision, and I want to make a decision to train at the highest level. I want to make a decision to set up opportunities for myself over the next couple of months to be and have the most opportunities for next summer. And that's really what a letter of intent is. You can write it. And this is not, you don't have to be an English major to be a branch manager. So it's less about the writing and more about the intent behind it. And this is one of those things where, like, eventually, if you're on the edge of submitting one, sometimes you need a little bit of a push. And sometimes it's just taking that extra jump and just submitting it will help you get to that next place of certainty. And other times it is a commitment, right? So it's not something that you want to do half-ass or willy-nilly, or if you are really unsure, then maybe there's another conversation with myself or with your manager that you might want to have before you go ahead and start that process. But essentially what it looks like is just stating the intent. So why you address it to myself, your immediate manager, and our region manager, Scott Dennis, who's the person that makes decisions on all territories. State the intent, like why do you want to submit a letter? Why do you want to have an opportunity for a branch or district manager role or whatever you're submitting that letter for? And why is it important to you? What's your why? I'd also just make sure that you express some level of gratitude in that letter and message as well, thanking not just myself, but our region manager just for the opportunity, maybe the experience that you've had here. And I would also outline and get specific of like, hey, what action steps are you going to take over the next several months to make sure you're one of the highest trained candidates? So those can start to be submitted, and you can send those to me over WhatsApp or on email if you are at that place. Also keep in mind the next financial benchmark is coming up. So most of you are already well above this, but $400 is what the next financial benchmark will be for TLA to have saved by October 2nd. So before the end of the month. So if you don't have withholding set up right now for the push, I would recommend setting that up at the bare minimum. And if you really want to be taken as a serious candidate, my recommendation is always 2 levels ahead, which means a lot of you all that are already 2 levels ahead, you already have $1,000 saved. So to stay there, you want to have $1,500 saved. Be 2 levels ahead of the next benchmark and deadline. And as a reminder, we have our GYFST Cutco Edition course with Money Honey. So that is up and live. Module 1 is available, and that will be due before the next upcoming prep. One of the things that we will talk about in TLA is the $100 rule. And it's something that also, if you haven't, or if you've already started, you might have already seen this, but if you haven't started module number 1, something Rachel Richard talks about as well. And we will start to institute that now. So the $100, actually, anyone in NLG want to explain what the $100 rule is? Yeah, Anthony or Franklin, you guys want to take it?
Yeah, so what I was going to say is $100 rule is basically, just to help us get better with how we spend our money. If you're ever going to be spending over $100 on something, especially at our age, sometimes it could be, unnecessary. So $100 rule, you basically send Andrew a text message saying, hey, Andrew, $100 rule, tell him what you're going to get. And Andrew's just going to give you his perspective. And then you can make better judgments on, if you really want to spend it, if you need to spend it, or, he's not going to tell you not to do it, but, depending on what it is, but he's just going to give you really good advice on what you should be, really taking into account on what, some big purchases are.
So a lot of times what gets you is not the small purchases. It's like the random big purchases that like came out of nowhere you didn't think much about and they just happen. Anyone can relate to that? It's like, oh, I'm like, I'm super frugal with my money. It's like, I don't ever spend money except when I buy random big things that come out of nowhere. And it's just like, boom, for $500 or $300 or $1,000, then you're like, yeah, I didn't really think that one too through. So the only idea behind it is like, hey guys, before you spend $100, just send me a message. Send me a message. And here's what this will do. First off, half of it will be taken care of if you actually institute this rule. Half of it will be done without you ever even talking to me, because there'll be certain things that you're like, I'm not even going to send Andrew a message on this because I know exactly where this is going to go. And it's just going to save you the hassle right there. At other times, what I'll help you do is I'll just help you ask some questions. And it's not necessarily a bad thing. Like, it's your money. You do what you want to do. So I will give you my advice or perspective or some things maybe to think about. But at the end of the day, you're going to make whatever choices you want to make, and that's on you. But it's a way to kind of bounce things off of and start to learn financial best practices, the questions that you should ask. And sometimes, by the way, you might be surprised. I might be like, hey, honestly, Miracle, that's a really great, I know you might be a little bit nervous, but that sounds like something that's gonna be a good investment for you. Other times it might be hey, that's probably something good, and you could probably delay that a little bit and maybe not have to do in this current moment. So we'll be able to bounce back and forth. So that will be something that you can start doing. If you have a purchase that's over $100, run it by me, and I'll give you some things to think about that will help you kind of process that decision in a little bit better way. Matrix score, by the way, will be coming out here pretty soon. So our first actual official rankings for TLA candidates will be coming out shortly. One of the things that we're looking at, by the way, is intangibles. So I'm going to mention the assignments in a second, but some of you all are going to be surprised why your intangible score is so low. And by the way, if these aren't really, really, really high, some of you all, the best thing that you have going for you is your intangible score. So, the small things add up. Everything's an interview, right? So, things like, hey, turning in the assignments, was it due at 9 o'clock and you submitted it at 10 p.m. or the next day? Did you submit it at the exact, the last moment that you possibly could? Did you submit it early, or did you not even do it at all? And now it's been a week and you still haven't done it. Things to think about. So even though I might not reach out to you and try to manage you one-on-one, we're taking note of all that stuff too. Second prep is coming up in about 3 or 4 weeks. We got another month up until that point, by October 2nd. What is coming up tomorrow, last thing, is the SLC push. And this goes back towards assignments. I am really looking to see a goal posted from every single person in TLA. And I don't care if your goal is literally $1,000 for the push, but part of it is following up and finding a way. And, you got to get creative. So this is a push, and I expect every single person to push. And I don't care if you're in the most busiest, craziest exam schedule. Maybe you're just doing a bunch of customer marketing and Facebook posts during this, but there's got to be some sort of push effort of expanding your capacity here during this time period. And then there's been a special gunner group that if you've already got added to it, awesome. And if you hadn't, there's a couple people that will be added to this group in the division, and I'll be communicating with you guys a little bit more one-on-one. And shout out to the group that was formed right before this call. And we got some people that will be leading an alliance for us here and running some workshops, which will be an exciting opportunity for some people to receive, and also an exciting opportunity for some of you on the call to be able to give and run some workshops for the first time here too. So I will send out the prizes. You guys know what's up there. Friendly reminders in the calendar agreements. If someone can screenshot this, and actually I'll just send it to the chat. Important dates so you have it. And then last thing before we wrap up here, I just want to give a reminder of assignments. So this is what was already due. If you have not done any of these things yet, super late, get it done. You're going to need all this stuff moving forward. But number one is sign up for Money Honey, take a CVI test, love languages test, and get a planner if you haven't done so. NLG, same thing. I gave a lot of you guys some grace on this deadlines with the EDGE plan, so we could dive into it a little bit more in our last meeting. But if you haven't done that yet, you need to make sure you carve out some time for that. The only assignments that are due between now and the next prep, the first one is your SLC push PC completed, which is really just post a photo of you and your goal into the TLA chat. And then I'm going to go ahead and forward out the last few things that are due here. So a lot of you all have asked for the Jim Rohn audio. It's not due for a good bit of time, but I will send this into the group chat because we will be debriefing this here in a couple of weeks. And then I'm also going to send a link to the book. So if you want to buy the book, you can. It's a very short book, so you can listen to it in about an hour and a half and just take some notes on it. Or you can, if you prefer to listen, you can do that. If you want to read, I just sent the PDF into the group chat here as well. And then starting next week, we'll probably continue to mix a little bit of CDI content into here, and we will pick up where we left off and with the A's of influence. And each and every single week, we're going to start to have an influence scenario that we will be role playing and doing a little bit of a drill for skill here as a group. So with that said, ladies and gents, we're going to wrap up and close up the night. Have an awesome team meeting. Get ready to kick butt. And tonight's a big meeting because tomorrow is the first day of the SLC push. So let's get ready to rock and roll and dominate the rest of the company here this fall. Talk to y'all soon, ladies and gents. See ya.